Welcome to Unboxing History, a podcast where we take a deep dive into the collection of the Galveston County Museum. I'm Christine Hopkins.
And I'm Jodi Wright-Gidley. Each episode, we unbox an artifact or two from the museum's collection, and we uncover the stories behind them.
So we're calling this podcast Unboxing History Back to School Edition. So we have some interesting items that are part of the collection that we're going to unbox in honor of the start of school. What do we have, Jodi?
Yeah, so today we're unboxing 8 school-related items from the museum's collection. They range in date from 1885 to 1932. So let's start with a teaching certificate from 1885. So this is from 1885, and this certificate states that Miss Lizzie Seaman was certified by the Galveston schools to teach 3rd grade. And so this was a time when cities and counties managed their own school systems. It wasn't really overseen by the state at all until 1911. And that's when the state took over certification and created all of the rules that we have now with our school system.
So it was really on-the-job training to be certified to teach. That's pretty interesting. It had to be a little stressful too.
Yep.
So at that time, how many schools or teachers did we have?
Well, I found in 1907 that Galveston County had 18 school systems.
Wow, that's a lot, you would think.
Yep, on the mainland, Bolivar, everywhere.
And so what do we have next? We have more things in this box.
So the next item we have is a report card. This report card is from the 1925-26 school year. It belonged to Roy Nunn, who was a 3rd grader. He went to Sam Houston School, and he made pretty good grades, lots of B's. He missed a few days, but he was never tardy. And so in the research I did, what I found was this cute little story from the newspaper. So at the end of the school year, the 3rd graders got to have a picnic on the beach. And Mr. and Mrs. Kelsey donated ice cream to the students. So then the next day in school, the teacher assigned the students to write a thank you note, and they picked the best thank you notes to then send on to Mr. and Mrs. Kelsey. And Roy Nunn's thank you note was one of the chosen ones. Now, we don't have the note, but that would be fun if we did. But it's just really interesting to be able to connect an artifact to that story from the newspaper. It's just a cute story.
And when you're in 3rd grade, or even any time, I mean, for us, it was, oh my gosh, we're in the newspaper, but now it's for, we're online in the digital paper. But what a cool treat, your letter to be in this article in the newspaper when you're in 3rd grade, especially at that time. That's a charming story. So,
the other thing about this I was going to mention was it includes this phrase. It says, the home and the school should work together for the good of the child. That really stood out to me because it certainly still applies today.
Yes, it definitely does. So do we have any photos of Sam Houston Elementary?
Yeah, so this school was originally known as Bath Avenue School because it was on what was then Bath Avenue, which is today 25th Street.
Okay.
But this is a picture of the school in the 1900 storm.
Oh my gosh.
And so it was the one that many people may have seen somewhere before where the whole side of the building is gone and the desks are hanging out. They're actually bolted to the floor in the school. A lot of schools did that then, and they're falling out the wall. And so that was the Sam Houston School that was damaged in the 1900 storm.
Well, so this is before our student went to this school, but what an amazing picture. And then when you think about that Galveston, because of our resilience, recovered, that you look at that kind of picture and they're like, okay, however many years later, we're going to have this school ready for our students because we're going to overcome the deadliest natural disaster in United States history with resilience and determination.
And we're in the anniversary time. So it is the 125th anniversary this September of that storm.
So we've talked about teachers. We've talked about students. How about how they got to school?
Oh, the next artifact we have is a bus pass. So I'm not really sure how many buses ran for this school at that time, but what this is the Galveston Electric Company ran the streetcars, and they would allow students to ride the streetcars to school if they were older. And so this is for a guy named Irwin Voigt, and he was a Ball High School student. And so this pass lets him ride the bus to school, the city electric cars. And so what's interesting too about it is on the back, it explains that if you tried to get this pass and you were not a student, that was a misdemeanor and you would be fined $25 to $100. So they took this very seriously. Only students could have these special bus passes.
And they could only have it during the school year.
Yes.
So I thought that's interesting. So no fun riding on the electric cars when you're not in school. And that's a pretty significant penalty given that time.
Yeah.
So I love that this gives us a good glimpse of what everyday life was. So before school buses, everyone, you rode the electric cars to school. So anything else about Irwin?
Well, so in our research about Irwin, I found that he graduated Ball High School, and then he became a minor league baseball player. He played for the Galveston Rattlers in the 1940s.
How cool is that? Do we have pictures of the Galveston Rattlers?
I don't have those. So if anyone has any, donate them to the museum.
Yeah, we could add that to the collection. There's always an opportunity to give. So you had mentioned we're approaching the 125th anniversary of the 1900 storm. What else do we have related to that?
So I was curious to, think about Ball High School students around the 1900 storm, and I found this picture. So this is the class that graduated in 1900. So they would have graduated in May, so before the storm came. And so then I got curious to kind of read a little more into the storm and the students, and I found that there's a gentleman in this picture that is listed on the death list that Rosenberg Library has on their website. And so it was just really sad to think about that.
Well, it really brings history to life when you can put names to the faces. And, if you haven't been to the Galveston County Museum, I know we've done several podcast episodes about it, but this museum has an incredible 1900 storm exhibit. And, it's here year round. And to me, seeing the items in it really personalizes that story. Do you want to say just a little bit about that?
Sure. So our 1900 storm exhibit is here all the time, like you mentioned. We have one of the really most unique artifacts in our exhibit that you can't see anywhere else, and that's the inquest book. So this inquest book was created on Bolivar. So people had washed ashore on Bolivar, and the Justice of the Peace documented those people he found. He collected personal items if he could, and in hopes that the family would come around and look for their loved ones they had lost. They list 86 people in the book. Only 4 were identified by anybody after that. So it's just a really poignant artifact.
And to see those personal items, glasses and buttons and rings, and it's really something. So we encourage you to come and visit the museum for that. So we have more. We have more photos. What other photos do you have?
So a couple more. So we don't want to leave the mainland out because they certainly had schools there too. And so one of the unique stories about mainland schools is the Santa Fe ISD. So Santa Fe was a community of 3 different little smaller communities, Altaloma, Algoa, and Arcadia. They each had their own little school, but they really struggled to get teachers to teach there. And so one of the things they did as the communities grew is the families wanted their kids to go to high school and not stop at elementary level. And so they built a consolidated high school. They named it Santa Fe after the railroad that connected all the towns. And so the school came before the town of Santa Fe. Santa Fe didn't incorporate until the late 70s, but the school had already been there. And so it was just a unique thing that the school came before the town.
I never realized that Santa Fe wasn't incorporated. You said, until the late 1970s. To me, it's been around forever. Mm-hmm. So that's really fascinating. And again, look, what did you say? There were 18 school districts at that, way back when, and now we have a lot less.
Mm-hmm.
So next up, what do we have?
So the next thing we have is a picture from Lamarck. So this is Lamarck students in 1932, high school students. I don't know a lot about them, but what's interesting is their clothing. The drop waist dresses and skirts were such the rage back then, I guess, because almost all the girls are wearing them.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just fun to look at old fashioned.
And it looks like we even have a girl in, a little
overalls
there. Oh my gosh. But yeah, this kind of shows, the dress of the time, and they all have real similar bobbed haircuts too.
Yeah.
I think I had that haircut at one point. So, remember, if you have photos or information about anything in the collection, please reach out to Jodi at the County Museum because we're always looking to add to those stories. One of the lesser known facts about Galveston is that we're home to a lot of Texas firsts. The first public library, the first hospital or teaching hospital, first nursing school, first courthouse. All these different things, the first electric lights, all these things. So one of the things that we're home to is the first African-American high school in Texas. So you found something related to that.
Yeah, so we have a picture from Old Central, which was the high school for Black students here from 1885 And the school was segregated until the schools in Galveston were segregated until 1968. And so this picture is Central High Drill Team. And we don't know the date. I'm guessing the 50s. We don't know the names of the people. So we're working on that. We have been to Rosenberg Library and we looked through the yearbooks they have in their collection, and we didn't find this picture to help us identify it, but we're working on it and hopefully we will soon. If anybody thinks they can help us out, let us know.
Well, when you look at the picture, they're standing, for those of you that are listening, they're standing in the stands and they have an American flag on one side and their Central High Bearcats flag on the other. And there's all these great uniforms. And in the front, it looks like they have like a little girl who's a mascot and probably their sponsor, but someone may know someone in this photo. So we'd love to hear from you. They have these great uniforms, and on the top, they have these kind of pillbox hats.
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
Yeah.
and they have their boots. And I can't imagine, I bet those uniforms are made out of wool. You know how they did that?
They look hot.
They do look hot.
The other thing that's interesting is the megaphone in front of the group says A.J. Rasmussen and Sons Sporting Goods. So I guess they were the sponsor, one of the sponsors of the group that year.
So reach out to the Galveston County Museum. We're always wanting to learn more from the community. If you have something in your attic, those heirlooms that you're like, I don't really know what to do with this. If it relates to Galveston County and is pertinent to our history, then talk to Jodi about it. It might be a perfect addition to the museum's collection. Since we're on the topic of schools and we're about to start another school year, how does the Galveston County Museum serve our schools?
Well, we certainly welcome field trips. So schools can book a field trip with us. We can take about 30 students at a time. It takes about an hour to go through the museum. A lot of groups may be bigger than 30, and in that case, let us know, and we'll work it out where we'll bring half into the museum, half can go and read the historical markers out in our courtyard, and then we'll switch so everyone gets to experience everything. And so just give us a call, go to our website, send us an email, and we can book it.
And for you parents that are homeschooling your children, this is an excellent educational opportunity. I mean, you could schedule something with Jodi on a Tuesday and Thursday and basically have the whole museum to yourself through something even like Padlock Mystery, which is a game, an interactive game that you can do through the museum. And then if you are a youth group, Girl Scouts, Boy Scouts, all those things, this is a wonderful resource. It's available to you. And, every time that I come into the museum, I always see something new or something that I didn't really notice before. It stands out to me and sometimes even gives me chills, but for those of you that are interested in history and appreciate learning about it, I think that we can all learn about how this county has changed and grown and evolved. And the County Museum just does an incredible job of maintaining that information and sharing this information with the public. In this small, tight little museum, you're going to be surprised at how much there is here. So remember that the County Museum is always looking for donations. And please tune in to Unboxing History and subscribe. And we'd love to hear from you. And let's just keep exploring history one item at a time.
Yeah.